Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of The Watch Collector. My name's Ollie. Today we've got the absolute pleasure of having Pascal, who's the Managing Director of Angelus, with us. And we've got an event at the Lansdowne here in London. Thanks so much for coming, Pascal.
Hello, Oliver. A pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Angelus is how I would describe the epitome of the rabbit hole that you can go down once you start really delving into what watchmaking is. And for many of you, I'm sure you'll already know the story of Angelus, but we're going to have a recap here, not only for my benefit, because actually it's been fascinating for me to relearn about this particularly amazing brand, especially from a movement standpoint, but obviously because we've got Pascal here today and he can correct me if I get anything wrong. So, this is a brand that was born in 1891 by brothers, and that's just one of the stories that we always love, isn't it? Something that's founded by a family.
Yeah, correct. That's the brother Stolz. So three brothers, watchmakers, that created a workshop in Le Locle back in 1981. And very quickly, thanks to their skills, ingenuity, they became not only famous for the timepieces Angelus that they launched, but also for providing movements also to other brands of the industry. Really, the Angelus was extremely famous for a variety of movement. Of course, we think about the long power reserve movement, especially the 8 days. That was the smallest 8 days movement ever made at that time.
Created in 1930, I should say. That's
Yes.
that's how long ago they were doing this.
Yes. They were obviously very famous also for chronographs, which really became the hallmark of the brand. Calendar watches with chronograph or just with the calendar and the pointed date, and we will come back to the chrono-date later, and also minute repeaters that came later in 58 with the first quarter repeating timepiece. Automatic and water resistant back in 1958.
Which is genuinely one of the most amazing things about this brand, because Pascal's already mentioned the chronograph. They had their first monopusher chronograph in 1925, and the way they were making their movements meant that they were a perfect choice for other brands to utilize within their watches. And I'm sure so many of you out there will know about Panerai, and of course they use the Angelus SF 240 caliber in their now extremely famous luminor watches.
Yes, the Marino Nostrum back in those days.
Correct. Yes. And for those of you who really into this detail, you can tell the ones equipped with the Angelus caliber because the seconds is at 9 o'clock, if I'm correct. So we know now a little bit about actually just how important the brand has been over the last century or so. You've mentioned one watch in particular, and that's the Chrono-date. Take us through that a little bit, if you might.
So we are going back to 1942. At that time, Angelus launched the Chrono-date, which is the first chronograph featuring a date and after featuring also a full calendar. That's the timepiece that you have here, a beautiful vintage timepiece with gold case. What was very specific with this piece at that time, it has a much larger diameter than timepieces back to those days.
40 mil?
No, this one was 38 millimeter.
Okay.
And you have in fact the bicompacts with the two counter, very large counter for really good legibility of the chronograph function. And that's what we wanted to bring to the new collection that we launched 2 years ago to celebrate the 80th anniversary of the Chrono-date. So it came under two names, Chrono-date after Chrono-dato. And that's really probably the most sold and famous timepiece of Angelus in the whole history of the brand.
Pascal has mentioned the subdials here, but for those of you who love dome sapphire, there aren't very many watches that have that impressive height as it has on this Chrono-date. That's, as I've mentioned, that's the importance of the brand in terms of what it was making, both in terms of movements and in terms of watches, from 1891 all the way through until 1978. And they also have a medical chronograph as well that they produced, I believe, in 1960.
1962, correct.
Then, unfortunately, as a problem that befell so many brands was, of course, the crisis of the quartz invention and promulgation throughout the industry, and it fell dormant.
Yes.
And that takes us up to 2011, which is when La Juperay
acquired the brand.
The brand.
And what's important is then having the manufacturer behind the brand means that from the beginning of the relaunch it became again an integrated manufacturer. And so the whole project of relaunch has happened between 2011 to 2015. And 2015, that was the start of the new collection of Angelus, with very modern case and only tourbillon. So the production of the brand was less than 100 pieces per year. Very high-end tourbillon, mixing performance material like titanium, carbon, some gold as well on some pieces. And probably one piece that you remember was the U10, the first tourbillon that was launched. That was based on a concept of having the heart of the movement of the tourbillon really outside of the body of the movement, so really visible through a sapphire crystal on the side of the movement. So that was really a talking piece that has been a milestone for the relaunch of the brand. And 2 years ago, we wanted to go beyond the tourbillon and reconnect the brand with its glorious past and its history. And of course, as I told you, probably the most important complication in the whole history of the brand has been the chronograph. And that's why we decided for the 80th anniversary to launch a new chronograph that has lots of features and inspiration from the original model. From 1942, and but also that has a very modern design, playing also with performance materials that we're using since the brand has been relaunched in 2015. So now we have a beautiful timepiece which is fully crafted of titanium, with some carbon composite inside the case. So the case is very complex, made of 11 different elements. Carbon composite container inside, other carbon composite elements like on the pusher, on the crown, and the sandwich of the bezel. And then you have all different elements in titanium, so it's not one block, it's really different components put together. And you see with the architecture of the case, you can see the carbon on the side as well. So we play a lot with the different material and different color on the case. On the dial side, you recognize, of course, first of all, the pointed date, which is really the identity of the original Chrono-date. And you have the bicompax looks with the two large registers like on the original timepiece. Of course, the movement has been upgraded, so now it's an automatic movement. It has a column wheel. It has 60 hours power reserve, which is also in the DNA of the brand, providing long power reserve. And we decided not to come with traditional classic finishing, but very modern finishing. The amount of finishing of the movement is very important and impressive, but made in a very modern way. To give you an idea, the chamfering of the bridges is not polished like it would be on a traditional caliber. Here we decided to have it fully brushed.
And I should say we touched on the idea that Angelus makes long power reserve watches, and in fact it makes the smallest. So that's all the way back in 1930, forgive me, 1925, and it's still, as I understand it, to this day, the smallest movement of its type that has that power reserve.
Yes, Yes.
So that again, it just shows how important it is.
An additional feature that we brought to the collection last year is you have a very nice quick release, super easy system to change from the rubber to an integrated titanium bracelet. So you see, I do it live, very easy, and then you move from a sports timepiece on rubber with a fully integrated bracelet timepiece made of titanium and carbon. So two different styles for the same timepiece.
And anyone knows anything about making new watches knows just how difficult a bracelet is. And specifically that kind of quick release mechanism. It is not a straightforward exercise to undertake. May I?
Please.
Super light.
Very light, very comfortable on the wrist. And you have also at the back, you can add a few millimeters to adapt perfectly to the size of your wrist.
Oh, it has a sort of a quick mechanism that allows you to do that.
Yes.
It's very nicely done because it's not always easy to get a real shimmer and shine on a bracelet without it looking too much. And I think you've done a great job to give it that attraction, but whilst keeping a bit of chic to it.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
What I like also is the piece, either it's on the rubber or the bracelet. The integration of both into the case are just perfect.
So I'm going to have a go at this now. So the pusher is there.
Yeah.
And we simply push in.
Correct.
Wow. That's the first time I've done it, and that's how easy it is. Less than 1 second to change your strap.
And
then we put that back. Done. Even easier than the Chapek. Now that's saying something. Good, great job. Great job.
Thank you.
So that's this model.
Yes, that's this model. We launched first limited editions in 2022. We came after with a permanent collection where you have the storm blue dial, so which is a nice blue color. You have a beautiful green dial that takes really the light very differently from darker shades and lighter green. And our latest release in the collection is the magnetic silver that we launched at Geneva Watch Days just few weeks ago. And here the idea was to come with a dial that has a lighter color and that plays with the traditional panda combination with the black with the black counter. And yeah, the whole architecture of the dial also is very nice. With the you see the end of the pointed date has a shape that follows the flange.
It's very nice to see that actually you have multiple levels to the dial, and because the subdials are sunken, and the actual dial itself is sunken with the track around the outside above it. It gives it a very nice depth, and there aren't that many watches that have this kind of feature. And if you're into details like that, then this is definitely the kind of chronograph you're going to like.
A timepiece I'm wearing, it's also part of the permanent collection. And this timepiece has been inspired by a legendary chronograph by Angelus that has been made in the 50s for the Hungarian Air Force. So it was a special order from them. And the concept on this piece was really to have a beautiful black dial, matching black strap, and all the markings on the dial have this gold tone, this gold color. This is available in titanium and carbon, and also in gold and carbon, like the original timepiece that was in steel or in gold execution as well. and that's probably one of the most
on this
collectible pieces from the vintage Angelus chronographs.
I love the way that the Arabic numerals are eaten into by the subdials. Again, it really lends itself to the depth that I was talking about with these versions. It's great, and there's something again quite specific with Angelus. Pascal has mentioned the link to the Hungarian Air Force, but you also go back to the First World War, which was when they created their repeaters for those who had been blinded in the war, and so it meant that they were actually to tell the time. And they received an award for that, as far as I remember.
Yes,
correctly.
yes, yes. Received a gold medal.
Yep.
Yes.
So that again, I keep repeating myself, but it's only when you really dive into these things do you actually understand just what's been achieved by a brand over, as I said, over a century of watchmaking. Okay, fantastic. So that's really brought us up to the present day and where Angelus is, and you've got a couple of exciting things to show us, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So there's we have also still the tourbillon in the collection, and we launched a few months ago a gold and carbon tourbillon that we have here with us. We will come with more things in the future to fulfill this tourbillon pillar in the collection. But one of the key initiatives also of the brand in this idea of reconnecting the brand with its past, it was the launch of the Fabrique collection last year. And the first timepiece that we launched was the reedition of the medical chronograph from 1962, a limited edition of 99 pieces in steel, with a design which is very much inspired from the original medical chronograph. That's a mono-pusher chronograph, 39 millimeter, and that's a beautiful timepiece. This year we launched the second chapter of the Fabrique with the instrument vitesse, the speed instrument, and we launched two first limited editions at Watches and Wonders and at Watch Time in New York in a couple of days. We will release the two new versions of the two new limited editions of this speed instrument. So you see the inspiration is really coming from the old GT cars. It's a 1-minute chronograph, so it's only meant to time the speed. And you have two limited edition of 25 pieces. So we gave some names to the piece to connect also with the old GT car. So that's the Indianapolis Blue and the Silverstone Grey.
Very nice.
So on this timepiece, as well as on the medical chronograph, you have also a legendary movement. So the movement on this piece is actually a movement that has been created in the 90s by a company that was called at that time THA.
I'm glad you mentioned it, because I was going to ask you about it as a perfect segue. Thank you.
So the THA was a company founded at that time by three young watchmakers, which were François-Paul Journe, Vianney Alter, and Denis Flageolet. And with this company, they were creating movements for other brands. And one movement in particular they created, a mono-pusher chronograph, has been used by Cartier with their Tortue mono-pusher chronograph from the private collection that has been released in 1993. At the end of the 90s, those three gentlemen decided to split. Each one created his own brand. So François-Paul Journe created FP Journe, Vianney Alter, that I had the pleasure to see again last week, now doing beautiful pieces under his own name. And Denis Flageolet created the Béthune. And our manufacturer at that time acquired the rights of on this movement that we are now fully manufacturing ourselves. So you have a timepiece with a beautiful design, recalling the glory of the GT days, and with a legendary movement also inside.
I hope this comes out on camera, but when you're actually utilizing the monopusher, it's very smooth. There's not a huge amount of resistance or click when you do press it, but there is almost zero judder when it resets. That's the quality of the movement.
The softness of the mono pusher, the short course of the pusher, but remaining very precise is what makes a quality chronograph. And yeah.
And it's Pascal's right. The essence of this is sporty, but at the same time, it really does have a retro feel about it. Not just from sport, but also I don't want to go towards sort of the Dirty Dozen side of things, but it feels like it's almost ready for anything. That's the impression that I get from the case and the finishing, and it would sit well in almost any situation as far as I can see. And on this one, Indianapolis blue, did you say?
Yes.
Yes. I love the strap. Even that really sets it beautifully, and the same, the suede on both, very, very nice combination. Look, that's to some extent a whistle-stop tour of Angelus. I hope that's really given you an appreciation of just how important this brand is to watches in general, what they've contributed over the last 140 years or so is almost incomparable. And Pascal, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you,
and
Oliver.
Thanks for coming to show us beautiful watches, and we wish you all the best for the future with Angelus.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Oliver.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.